Having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to the Porchlight Letters podcast number 2275, The Aftermath. So yesterday we had the packers in, the movers in that packed up as everything, supposedly everything that was going to New Zealand after they had left. And this morning when I came and checked into the hotel last night, and you got all that story about yesterday then. Came back to the hotel last night, got a great night's sleep. Oh my gosh, I did not expect a hotel. Usually I don't sleep so well in hotels, but I got a really good night's sleep, which means that I absolutely needed it. I was tired. I was exhausted. I'm still recovering from that stomach bug thing that I had. I'm still not 100%, but I'm almost there. But that sleep did help. It also didn't help that I did that I read for a little longer than I should have. But I got back to the house today, and as I'm going through the house, I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, we didn't go into this room, we didn't do that, da 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 da. And so now I'm like looking at what's left to go through, and I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, we didn't take that, we didn't take this. And we didn't get to go through the filing cabinets, which have stuff in them. So now what I'm probably going to end up doing is packing a third bag. I get two included in my airfare, but packing a third bag, yes, it's going to cost me about $200, but it's more than half of what it would cost if I shipped the bag. If I did one of those bag shipping things, or went through like UPS or FedEx or something like that to ship the bag, it would be around $400 to $500 for the bag. And so this way I get the bag with 60, something like 60 pounds, I think it is. So then I'll get 3 bags at 60 pounds. I think it's 3 bags at 60 pounds or 66 pounds. So I'll get 3 bags at that weight. And so I figured that would be cheaper than shipping, way cheaper than shipping. So I've made that decision. I'm going to do that. So that's the task I'm going to tackle tomorrow. How empty is the house? It doesn't, even after the movers have been through, there's still, well, there's a lot of boxes, a lot of empty boxes around. So I've got to break down all those boxes. I have my car detailed today. The guy, Eric, he is from the Gloss Co. here in Surprise. So if you're in Surprise or in that area and you need a car detailer, Eric from the Gloss Co., Gloss Co., does a phenomenal job on the detailing. My car, even though it's got some wear and tear on some of the upholstery and stuff like that, it looked and smelt brand new. He did an incredible job. And there wasn't too much, because of the type of car seat cover thing I had for Zephy, there wasn't a lot of, he said, and I told him about how the setup was for her seat cover and everything else. And he goes, oh, those are really good. They're really good for containing the fur. And I said, yeah. And I said, they're really easy to clean too. And so he was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't a lot of dog fur around as much as I thought, as much as I told him there probably was. But he did it, and he turned up early. He says, I'm going to be arriving early. Is that okay? I says, yep, that's fine. So he arrived early and got started and was done in, I think, about 3 hours. And the car just looks, it's shiny, it's clean. I mean, you go in and the carpets look like they look brand new. I've got one of those cover things over the dashboard. That looks brand new. It looks even better than the day I installed it. So he did a phenomenal job. So the Gloss Co. here in Surprise, he is a mobile detailer. He will come to your house. And he just did a fantastic job. So very, very happy with that. Then just after 9 o'clock, he got there at 8:15. Yeah, so just before he arrived, I had somebody turn up for the Vitamix. And so they were very happy with it. And they were actually in the process of moving themselves from Arizona to Wisconsin, and they needed a new base, another base for their Vitamix. And so mine was the same model as theirs, so they were very happy to find one of the same model and get it at such a great price. So that was my first sale of the day. My second sale of the day was a guy turned up he turned up after Eric did, and we got Eric all set. He starts doing his stuff, and then the second person turns up to get the air purifier. He was wrapped. He was absolutely happy with that. So he went on his way. And then I started getting, and so then I had sat down. And one thing that I've always done when I've sold stuff online is I send the person who purchased it a thank you note, a thank you text message, and then I notify everybody on the list who was interested in that item. Even though when you mark it as sold, it tells everybody it's been marked as sold, I wanted to go in and do a personal message. And one of the guys responded. He says, "Hey, you do realize that the system notifies us when it's sold?" And I said, "Yes, but I like to make sure that everybody is personally notified by me and thanked for their interest in what it was that they were looking to purchase." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I got a couple of mad icons back. I got the red face back from a couple of people, and I got one woman who says, Your communication is not very good. She said, I booked to come in at 11 o'clock this morning to pick that up. And I said, yes. I said, you were one of the early responders. And at the time, you were like the third or fourth person who had responded and the only one that gave me a time. I said, but after that, I said, my inbox blew up. I had over 70 people interested, over 70. They were still texting me this morning. And it all came from Facebook Marketplace. OfferUp, nothing. Nextdoor, nothing. It's quite interesting how this works. And so she was a little upset that my lack of communication. I said, but after you came in, I said, then it just went ballistic yesterday, and I've ended up with over 70 people interested in the Vitamix. And I'm sorry I did not communicate to you that you needed to come earlier. I said yesterday was hectic. I had movers here yesterday, and I was just responding to the text messages as they came in. I got really annoyed with one guy because yesterday he started pestering me for my address, literally so he could go and camp out and get the thing in the morning when I turned up. And I said, no, I wasn't going to be giving it to him until he told me he was leaving his place. And just before the couple turned up to pick up the Vitamix, he texts me and says, I'm leaving now. And I just ignored it because the couple were about to turn up. And responded to him afterwards, and he was not happy, but he accepted it. And so this woman who said that, we had arranged a time, and I said yes. And my experience has been a lot of people arrange a time and never show up. So it's always good to have backups. And I stated from the beginning that first come with the cash, first gets it. I said I just did not realize it would go as crazy as this did. And so she was fine with that after I apologized and explained it to her. Then I got stuck in and got some sorting done. And then worked on my first bundle. I'm starting to bundle things together rather than one piece here, one piece there. I thought, let me see what happens with a bundle. So I go and sat down on the couch in front of the TV. And there was the TV there with the Blu-ray player underneath. And then it sits on a glass table. And I thought, that's dusty, I need to clean it. So I cleaned it. On the bottom shelf is a UPS designed for home entertainment systems. So designed for home movie theaters and things. It's a UPS, so it will keep the power going and it stops any surges and that sort of stuff. And I thought, And so I took pictures of that. And I thought, hang on. And I've got the manuals laid out with the remotes laid out and all that. I thought, we need to bundle this. If we're going to bundle it, instead of just putting the TV in that, we need to make it a home theater. So let's get the receiver and put that in there. So we did that. And I said, now where's that box of speakers? I got some Polk speakers, really good speakers. And so I put this, just stood the speakers up there with the woofer. Now these speakers are like this size. They're about this tall and about this wide. The woofer that comes with the speaker, and the centers, so the ones that go the two front and the two back are literally about this size. The center speaker is about this big. The woofer, I kid you not, is bigger than all five put together. It was like this, I'm off the thing here. It was like this long and deep, and it was a cube. It was about this square. It was massive. And I'm like looking at these little speakers and going, and this is the woofer. It was unreal. So I put them all up there, looked at it and go, yep, I'm not hooking anything up to show that it's hooked up. I'm just going to leave it as it is because I just set it up. Was not going to go through the trouble of hooking all that stuff up. It takes me hours to do that. And I didn't have the time to set it up. So it was just like display it. And then I had the manuals out and all that. Now on Facebook Marketplace, they allow you to do a video. So I did a video, and it's got to be up to can only go up to a minute. So I did a video, and I think it was like 30 seconds. And then I took still photos because OfferUp and Nextdoor do not allow videos; they only allow photographs. And so, and both are up to, all three are up to 10 photographs. 9 if you do the video on Facebook Marketplace. And so got that all uploaded, and went home theater, home theater bundle. You got the TV, you got the Blu-ray player, you've got the 5-in-1 Polk speakers, you've got the receiver, and it's Onco, which is a really good brand. Polk audio speakers are awesome. They're absolutely amazing. And for their price, they are really, really good. And then you've got the UPS. And so I displayed all that. And I've even got one of those monster power strips, which labels all of the plugs. So I put a picture of that in there as well. And so they now have, so I put that up there, and I put it for like, I think I did it for $150. Now the receiver alone is like a $300, $300 to $500 receiver when we bought it 18 years ago. To think about 18 years ago we bought that. It was 180. It was between $300 and $500 for that. And that was probably and the Polk speakers were about the same. So you probably got about $1,500 worth of thing there, and I'm offering for $150. I originally had it at $200. At the end of the day, I dropped it to $150. And so then I was like, okay, let's leave that, see how that goes. Let's go do some more work. So I did some more cleaning up and all that. And I hadn't had breakfast by this point. So I grabbed a yogurt out of the fridge and had that. I've had very little to eat today. I have not drunk as much water as I should, which could be half the reason that I'm tired and exhausted, as well as putting in a good day's work. Oh, how many steps did I do? Yesterday I did almost 10,000 steps just around the house. Let's see, where am I at today? Oh, not quite as many as yesterday. Yesterday I did 9,536. Today so far I've done 7,095. It's amazing how many steps you do when you're walking around your own house, sorting stuff. So then I also bought out the stuff, and so I thought, okay, I need to start putting stuff into piles of what's going where and all that. So the stuff that's going to Goodwill, the stuff that's going to the Dogs Day Out Arizona, which is a charity that helps the homeless and especially those that have dogs, homeless people who have dogs. So I called up my new friend Anna. Well, I didn't call her up. I texted her. I says, hey, I've got a big box here for you. It's probably going to spill into a second box. When are you able to come by today and pick it up? And so we arranged for her to come at around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And so I've got a big box. I've got another box. I have a bag of bags. So I have this big I had so many duffel bags. I'm like, I don't need all these duffel bags. And I have a box of swag from the cruise lines from my travel professional days. I've got a box of swags, which has a ton of bags and other bits and pieces in there. So that whole box, they started packing it. So I said, no, that box does not get packed. That stays. And so I'm giving her that as well, because, anything that the homeless can use, whether it's for themselves or for their dog, they absolutely want. And things like towels and sheets and blankets, anything. And so I've got a yoga mat in there, which I don't need because I've got another one, a different one that I use. So somebody can use that as a sleeping mat if they want to, because it's about this thick. And then I have a stadium seat in there, and I have towels in there. I have rain ponchos. I had a slew of rain ponchos. I have no idea why we had so many, but they're all in there. And it's just as I was walking around the house, it's sort of like, oh, that needs to go. Is it Goodwill, or does it go to Goodwill, or does it go to Dogs? And so, she's got a nice little plug. And then I said to her, I says, can your organization use folding tables? I said, I have 3 6-foot tables that fold into half, are portable and fold into half. Could you use them? She says, oh, yeah, we'll be able to use those. And I said, I'm at a 4-foot one, you just fold the legs up. She's like, yep, we can use that. So she's getting all of them too. So tomorrow morning when I get there, I got to get there early because I got somebody coming at 7:30. What are they picking up? The Christmas tree. They're picking up the Christmas tree, I think. I think that's what they're picking up. And so I've got time to get the tables cleared. And And so then I'd done some sorting and stuff, and then it was time for a break. And then I thought, what bundle could we do next? And so I pulled out the food processor and got that one up online because I was trying to figure out what can I put that with. But I'm going around in my kitchen area looking, what do I still have here? And I found my 9x13 Pampered Chef stoneware pan, which is the replacement one for the one that I had for years that was well seasoned, but it got broken in the move somewhere along the way. And so I got a new one, but I've never used it. And so I was like, damn it. Stoneware, and it should have gone yesterday. And I was sort of like kicking myself because I didn't check fully in the pantry as stuff. And of course, we've completely missed the office with all the filing cabinets, with the 3 filing cabinets in there. Then I had somebody inquire about the black filing cabinet and then decided it was too far to come to pick it up. I tell you, it's been a crazy day. It's been a crazy, crazy day. And so haven't heard any nibbles on the food processor. Then I'm like thinking, because I'm thinking, how am I going to get rid of all the crockery, the plates and the bowls and that sort of stuff, and all the silverware that I wanted to get rid of. I thought, let's do a dining starter kit. So I cleared the island except for the air fryer, which I had also put up previously this morning. Cleared the island with the exception of the air fryer and the fruit basket. I got a 2-tier fruit basket which has hooks for bananas on it too, which is awesome. And I put out the coffee cups turned upside because they're all black on the outside of the coffee cups, but on the inside I've got a tan, I've got a spring green, and I've got a blue. And they match the plates and the bowls because when Brad and I bought them, we couldn't find 12. We wanted 12, but we couldn't find 12 place setting. Find 3 boxes, 4 place settings of the same color. And so I said, well, what happens if we get a tan, the green, and the blue? And Brad's like, that'll work. So that's what we did. And so I laid them out in their colors, showing how many of each there were. And I thought, what else can I put this? Well, there's all the 2 drawers of silverware. Oh, I've got to go take out my grandmother's spoons. I have these little tiny spoons with these little tiny butter knives that were my grandmother's. And I used to use them to eat my food when I was at her place. I would sit there on the floor with the TV tray, and it had legs, the TV tray in front of me, and I would use the little 2-prong fork, which was supposed to be for like pickles or something. I would use that, and I had the knife to cut my food, and I had the spoon to eat my dessert with. And it's a little tiny teaspoon. The head of the teaspoon is like about this big. It's absolutely cute and adorable, and I love them. So I must remember to get those in the morning. I have to write myself a list. What else was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I opened up the 2 drawers and I thought there's got to be something else. And I thought, I know, dessert. And so I have 5 banana split dishes, and I also have 5 of the sundae glasses. And so I put them out too. And then when I was in that cupboard, I had the ramekins there. I've got the large ramekins, and then I've got a slightly small, and then I've got a normal small size one as well. So I put them out. And so then I got on the video and said, we've got this here, we're doing a dining starter kit. Here you've got all these plates that you can use, and they're Gibson plates. We've got and then you've got all the silverware that's in this drawer, and in this drawer, this drawer's got a few other pieces in there as well. Like there's a pizza cutter in there, and there's a couple of other bits and pieces, not eating stuff, but serving stuff in there. And then I said, you've got all these plates and So I got the video under a minute, and then took the still photographs and put it up there. And on the video, I said, you get all of this for $20. I've got a woman coming tomorrow to pick. I've got 2 people that are inquiring about that at the moment. And I thought, this is really good. So, but I can see the view on OfferUp. I can see how many people have viewed it, and there's a lot of people that have viewed it. And somebody actually sent me a message. Do you actually get all of that for $20? I says, yeah. I says, everything in the photographs that I mentioned. I said, if you go over on the Facebook Marketplace, there's actually a video there that shows you that I explain what you get. And it's all for $20. And I haven't heard anything back from him since. So not sure if he believed me or not, but not my problem. And so then I thought, what else can I do? So the last one I did, and so then I had a message come through. Somebody was interested in my metal bookcase. It's a 6-shelf bookcase. It's 80 inches tall, and somebody was interested in that. And but the first person that was interested decided to drop out of it because she didn't like metal. She thought it was wood. And I'm like, how does it look like? Well, I guess somewhere along the way it may look like wood. And so then I had somebody else contact me about the metal bookcase. And I says, yep, it's available. And so she said, well, my husband's on his way home now. When he gets home, we're going to have dinner. He's going to eat his dinner and then we'll come over. I says, absolutely fine. And she says, do you still have the Christmas tree available? She said, I'd like to have a look at it. I went, yep, it's available. And so her and her husband turned up, lovely couple, older couple, lovely people, absolutely lovely people. We had fun talking with each other. And her husband actually brought a dolly with him. And he comes in and I said, you'll need a Phillips. Oh, and then the guy for the tools turned up, first of all, and we got all the cut tools in. He has since messaged me and said the tools that he picked up the other day, he's actually going to turn around and sell, because the ones that he bought from me are much higher quality than the ones that he got the other day. And he's somebody who likes his tools and likes using them and things like that. So they've gone to a good home. And so he left, and then it was 30 minutes later, this couple turned up. Now I sent them a message to say, hey, I just sold all my tools, so I don't have a Phillips screwdriver that I'm going to need to undo the bookcase. And so you'll need to, if you can bring one, that would be awesome. And so the husband walks in with a Phillips screwdriver in one hand and an electric drill in the other hand with the Phillips bit in there. I was like, okay, he's come prepared. What I didn't realize is that outside he had a dolly there, because he looks at it and I said, oh, this is where I said, this is the only pain, is getting this thing undone and done up. I says, but it's pretty easy to do. It's just the access to the screws. And so he looks at it and he kind of like lifts it up a little bit on one end and tests it, and he goes, got the dolly outside. So he brings the dolly in, but we couldn't, the dolly was so much, the bookcase was so much taller. So it ended up that he tried to pick it up and carry it out the door upright, but it didn't quite fit through the door. So I said, here, we tilted it. I carried one end of it. He carried the other end. We walked it outside, and then he got the dolly and got it on the truck. And while he's doing that, the woman wanted to see the Christmas tree. So I said, well, it's in the box right now because it's not Christmas. And I said, it's packed away in a box right now. And she goes, oh. I said, well, it's not Christmas, so it's not packed away. So it's packed away right now. And so I pulled down the box. We opened it so she could feel it. And I explained how it all goes together and everything else. I said, there's 3 parts. You put the feet down. And I said, once you get it upright and put it into the stand, I said, the branches fall down automatically. Then you just have to fluff them. I said, just pull them all out. And I said, because I've got little branches on the branches. And I said, then you find the ends and you connect them together, because there's one power cord that goes to the outlet, and the other ones are all, and the other 3 are, the other 2 sections are hooked into the main section, which is the bottom section. And she's like, she hemmed and hawed about it. And I already knew she wasn't going to take it just by her attitude. And she says, and then she goes, no, I'm not going to take that. I said, that's fine. She says, now you had an arm. And so she says, what else do you have for sale? So I pull up the list and I'm going down, and she says, oh, can I have a look at the armchair? I said, absolutely. So I went all the way down to the bedroom where it was in the master bedroom, and she goes, oh, and I went to move my clothes off because I had them draped over an arm. And she says, oh, no, don't bother moving them. She says, they're not my colors. Okay. So it's just a really comfy chair. For me, it's a comfy chair. I don't care what it looks like. And so then we went into the other room to show her the clocks that we had that have got the golf on one. It's got a clock at the top, and then in the shadow box, it's got golfing stuff. And the other one has like game room stuff like darts and chess pieces and that sort of thing. And she goes, oh, and I says, oh, then I've got the overlocker there. She goes, an overlocker? I said, some people call it a serger, some call it an overlocker. And I said, it's never been out of the box. And I pulled it out so she could see it's never been out of the box. It still has the original seals on it and everything else. And it was one of those things I got in Virginia and didn't get a chance to use it because we started going through all Brad's cancer stuff. And then we ended up moving to California and never had a place to set everything up. And so she says, I have a very good friend at church, and she makes all of her clothes, all of her children's clothes, and she's always sewing in that. I wonder if she'll be interested. So she tried contacting her but couldn't get hold of her. So she ends up calling the husband to find out that her friend is in Kentucky with her mother at a wedding, and won't be back till the weekend or something. And so she said, well, I'm at this lady's place, and she's got the serger there, or overlocker. She calls it an overlocker, but it's a serger. Would she be interested in that? And she said, how much? She said $30. And so we sold it to her to give to her friend. And he says, yeah, go ahead and get it. And he says, we'll give you the money for it. And if she doesn't want it, we can turn around and sell it. Fine, whatever. So sold my overlock, which I didn't even have on the list. So she was happy with her purchases, and off she went. And then I went and I was busy posting my bar kit at the time. So we have a bar starter kit as well, which, because I found like all these little tools, like you got a squeezer and sifter, strainer and all that sort of stuff. Found all of that. And I thought, I know, I can put my little personal blender, the little one-person blender with that lot. And then I have one of those frother things, where you press the button at the top and the bottom goes with a whisk or whatever on the bottom. And so I had that there. And I put it underneath the cupboards where I have some glassware from the bar area. It's got all glasses for the steins and some wine glasses in there. Not all the wine glasses. And then it's got some plastic margarita glasses. And then there's this box. The box on the outside says it's barware from the bar, and it's got glassware in it and stuff. And so I know it also has some plastic stuff in there too, but it's all the stuff that we had set up for our wet bar downstairs, which we never mixed any cocktails or anything with. I don't drink, and Brad would have a whiskey sour twice a year, I think it was, like once or twice a year. But we had a full bar. We never used it. And so I did the video saying, look, you got this stuff here, you get this, you get this, you get all of this, and then you get the mystery bar box. I said that's from our bar that when we had that, and there's still some stemware glasses in there. There were some tumblers in there. I'm not sure what else is going to be in there, because I can't exactly remember what we had on the bar because I don't drink. So you get all of that, $20. Haven't had any responses yet, but then it was getting a little late on. So, but today again was overwhelming, stressful, because every time I walked in the room, I was like, but I have one room that's almost empty. So I'm concentrating on that right now. I think I have 2 boxes in there that have to go. And, oh, that's right. And so I have a whiteboard in there. So I cleaned the whiteboard off. I went to put it into the whiteboard sleeve thing and folded up all that. And I went to put it in there and go, oh, what else do I have in here? And I pulled out, now back when Brad passed, the house we were in, I got this board. Half of it was a whiteboard and the other half was the cork board. Written on the whiteboard half is, no matter what happens, today is always, and always was in capital letters, super fantastic and sparkling, and it has my initials at the bottom. When I came to move out of that house, I could not bring myself to clean that board. And it fitted perfectly in with the whiteboard. So I put it in there. And there's a couple of other bits and pieces in there as well, like some cardboard and stuff to hold it up. That was there today. That was an emotional episode that we had today with that, for that memory of bringing that back. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, I can't take it to, when am I going to get it to New Zealand? Because it'll wipe the stuff off. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to leave it in the whiteboard box, because whoever purchases that packet is going to find it, and it is going to spread that message to the next people who own that whiteboard with that half whiteboard, half corkboard in there. So I decided to leave that in there, and hopefully it will bring some sparkles to the next person who has that. So, but now I'm back at the hotel, and I'm going to talk with the landlord, the property management company, tomorrow to see if I can extend another couple of days, because being sick this week has not helped at all. I have not been able to get stuck in like I normally do. And I said to my mum, I said, I would really love it if I had an assistant today that could like answer all of it, because the phone was going bing, 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 bing all day. And it was either a Facebook Marketplace one, which has one ding, and then it has Nextdoor, which has a different ding, and then you've got OfferUp, which whistles. I think that one whistles. And it would have been nice to have somebody there that could have just pitched in where able to, but spend the time responding to all the messages and everything else, and taking care of all of that, and taking the photographs and the videos and getting the stuff up online to sell, because that took quite a bit of stuff out of the day. And so I called it quits at 9:30. It's almost 10:30. No, it's 10:15 now. So I called it quits then and headed straight up to the hotel. I have not had dinner. I've had 2 yogurts today, I think. Yeah, 2 yogurts and some water. So not a lot to eat, but I do have leftovers from last night, so I'm going to go and munch on those. But yeah, I might look at extending a night or two, but then I'm trying to figure out how it's going to impact when I get to San Diego, and who I visit when, and everything else. So yeah, there's going to be some changes in the schedule coming up simply because of that. And my mum's sort of like, She says, well, even if you do get it all done tomorrow, she says, I don't want you driving to LA because you'll be exhausted, you'll be tired. She says, extend the hotel one more night and leave first thing on Saturday morning. And I'm like thinking, yeah, and then I'll get there around lunchtime. I only get half a day with the older grandkids before I go move to the younger grandkids' place. And so it's a whole mess right now. I don't know what's happening. I haven't even started packing my clothes. All my stuff is sitting on the drying horses there. And but Mum says, oh, if you bring another bag, that's fine because my brother's going to be there, so we can throw the bag into his car, and we'll be meeting for lunch on the Sunday. I get on Saturday. We're meeting for lunch on Sunday, and then going up to Mum and Dad's place so we can talk more. And on the Sunday, we go up to Mum and Dad's place after lunch, which is at the Fisherman's Table. And the Fisherman's Table is in Paikakariki, and it's right there on the coast, and it overlooks the Tasman Sea. So it's an awesome view. I'll take pictures and post them for you. So then, he can just leave the suitcases in his car and bring them up to Mum and Dad's place the next day. So it's all taken care of. As long as I have the bags that have my overnight stuff in, we'll be good. So that's kind of the plan right now. So tomorrow's going to be more sorting, getting stuff done. I haven't even started cleaning. The only cleaning I've been doing is picking up the bits and pieces that have been, like bits of paper, bits of tape, all the stuff that comes with movers when they come in and pack and everything else. So, but that's it. I'm out of here. I'm going to go and sit down and enjoy my dinner from leftovers from last night. And then I'm going to try and get to bed not long after that. So go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. And we will be on tomorrow evening from somewhere. I don't know where. Tomorrow night, where will I be? I don't know. I'll either be here or I'll be in San Diego or a different hotel for the night. Maybe I'll drive partway and do a hotel somewhere along the road. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, I've got to do a run to Goodwill tomorrow. I have to go to get my oil change. So I'm thinking I'll do Jiffy Lube because they do all the tire, and my tire pressure light came on today to say my tires are too low. I'm like, great. And I don't have it in my car yet because I've got to do the Goodwill run tomorrow. But in my garage at the moment, I've got the stuff that I keep in the car, and one of them is an air pump. And so it's not with me, so I can't do it here before I leave in the morning. So I have to remember to do it when I get to the house tomorrow. So, and I've got to be there before 7:30 because I've got a guy coming at 7:30 to pick up the Christmas tree. Fingers crossed. So the stuff is starting to move, which is nice. So, and but anyway, I'm out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. And oh, hang on, do I have reflection questions? Did I do some? Yes, I did. So what did I learn today about myself? What did I learn about myself today in the aftermath of the move? What emotions surfaced as I sorted through what is left? And you can apply these to yourself too for anything. How can I create more calm in the midst of continued activity? What do I need most from myself as I prepare for the next step? And I will tell you this, I did sneak in a 30-minute nap. I was sitting on the couch posting some stuff, and the next thing I know, I wake up, look at my clock, I've been down for about 30 minutes, and I had just literally while I was typing, I opened up the screen on my phone. I'm still in the editing screen to do a post for one of the items this morning. And I had just fallen asleep and fallen over sideways, and somehow my feet ended up on the couch and I was out for 30 minutes. So the body needed a rest, so I took a rest. But anyway,